Hey guys, welcome back to another Freedom School. It is Bianca again, and today we are going to talk about Henrietta Lacks. I did read this nonfiction book written by Rebecca Skloot. She did really in-depth research on Henrietta Lacks and where she came from, what happened to her, and how her cells were used. If you don't know, Henrietta Lacks is the original source of HELA cells, aka HELA cells. HELA. Back in the day, cells were taken from patients knowingly and unknowingly, and to protect patient information, the first two letters of their first name and last name were used to label the cells. HELA cells from Henrietta Lacks were very miraculous in that they were able to live outside the human body for an indefinite amount of time as long as they were provided basic support. This revolutionized research and science behind cures, different antibiotics, treatments, for example, cancer treatments, polio vaccine, things like bloodborne diseases, leukemia, measles, mumps, the list goes on. So many of the health fields accomplishments can be traced back to the HeLa cells. Now, Henrietta Lacks, the proprietor of these cells, was born in the early 1900s. When she was just in her 30s, she was diagnosed with cervical cancer. She went to Johns Hopkins Hospital, which at the time of her treatment was segregated. And so she had to go to the part of the hospital that were for blacks or coloreds only. She was treated um, barbarically with the uh, science of that time to suture radium into the cervix, which burned her from the inside out. But we are going to focus on what her doctor did without her consent. He took a sample of her cancer cells without her permission and then researched those cells, then gave those cells, unbeknown to Henrietta and her family, to other researchers around the United States and eventually around the globe. Some of them he sold, some of them he just gave for free. And researchers took these cells, these HeLa cells, and they reproduced them, mass reproduced them in their research labs. This revolutionized, as I said before, the science and health field. Henrietta died not too long after her diagnosis in 1950/1951. Her family didn't have enough money for her funeral, and she was buried in the backyard where she grew up in an unmarked grave. This book highlights not only Henrietta's life, but also the life of her children, her siblings, her partner, and generations after. The family of Henrietta was used by researchers who did not really explain the full extent and the blessing that their family members' cells had produced. They did not see any reward for these great feats of HeLa cells. I read an article, which I'll try to put up on the screen, where I believe one of the pharmaceutical companies that were using HeLa cells without giving recognition to the origin of HeLa cells, their family brought a lawsuit against this pharmaceutical company, and I think they settled outside of court. I think that that is like the second or third pharmaceutical company that the family has taken to court in the name of Henrietta Lacks. Even though it took a very long time, I feel like there's some justice in her family finally receiving, reparations for their Henrietta's contribution to the science field. I just wish that it could have done something for Henrietta at the time of her life. Thank you to Henrietta Lacks um, for your amazing contribution to our way of life right now. Your cells have fueled cancer treatments, HIV treatments, polio, HPV, hepatitis, measles, mumps, you name it. And she's helped us along the way unknowingly, and she continues to help us. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this episode of Freedom School. Even though it is no longer Black History Month, I am going to continue the series. I am in the middle of reading different books here and there, so I will drop reviews as they come up, and look out for my vlog, I guess, or overview of my time at BlurCon, which is a Black nerd convention, anime convention, nerdy convention that I went to, and I had so much fun. My awkward ass did not get to talk to some of the people that I really wanted to talk to, some people that I follow online, but I will be more braver next time. Anyway, hopefully you have a wonderful day. Keep reading, keep learning, and have your wits about you.